Okay. Well, like, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of SP Talks. And I'm your host for today. My name is Omer Ephraim Ogenegai. So today we'll be starting a series on the oil and gas industry. We're starting a series on the oil and gas industry. And today, our guest, who is Oluwole Daniel from Chemical Engineering Part 5 of Bafemi Awolowo University, will be taking us on the upstream sector of the oil and gas industry. So, can we welcome Oluwole Daniel? Hi, Oluwole Daniel.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
How?
afternoon.
Thank you very much.
We're, yeah, we're glad to have you today. So,
Yeah.
okay, so now we'll be going straight to what you have for us today. Can you just share your slides and let's kick it off?
Okay. Thank you very much. Today we'll be looking at the oil and gas industry. We'll be briefing us on the processes and the activities, the things that have been done in the oil industry. And today we'll be focusing mainly on the upstream sector. So for better understanding of the topic of the oil and gas industry, I'll be talking mainly on six subtopics. So we have the history of the oil industry. We have organizations overseeing the activities in the industry, and also we'll be looking at SP in the industry, and also our main topic, our main focus today, the upstream sector. And also we'll be looking at some controversies in the industries, the challenges faced in the industry, and the problems the industry also causes. And also, lastly, looking at safety in the industry, a topic we can't do without talking about. But let's go on. History of the oil industry. History, as we know, is a study of past events, in any situation. So, looking into past events in the oil industry and where we are now presently, the petroleum products then were only used for construction purposes, waterproof materials, and also light source. And then petroleum can only be found then in seepage. When you hear seepage, be like, what's seepage? Seepage is just an oozing out. When oil oozes out from the earth surfaces, from the pore surface of the earth. So going on, as extraction and production techniques now improved, there was increase in production of oil since we are now have more sophisticated equipment to to extract and to produce oil. So the production improved and there was increase in production, which also leads to the demand of oil too. And then only the US and Russia were the leading countries then in oil production. Also, as time goes on, the first oil well was drilled in the year um, 1859 by Edwin Drake, an American businessman. Yes, he was a businessman, not an engineer or something else. But he was a businessman, and then this was seen as a very great achievement, as a very great move in the history of the industry then. And also, with the invention of electricity, the demand for oil for light source. Remember I said earlier that oil was purposely used for light source, for construction purposes, and also waterproof materials. So the demand for oil for electricity now reduced, and then the application of oil was now shifted into eating and also for cooking aids. Also later on, automobiles were invented. I know today what we use gasoline for, they are used to power the automobiles. So there was a great increase. There was a great increase in the demand of petroleum and gasoline. So with all these improvements in the oil industry, in the sorry, in the oil industry, the government of all these oil exporting countries, as a country like Nigeria now, the government became more interested in the profits and the revenue gotten. Thereby, what they now had to do was to strike a deal with all these oil companies so that they can share their profits on a 50-50 basis so that they can ensure extraction and drilling and all their oil processes. Although later on, these countries they kind of backstab them and try to nationalize these companies so that they can have more control over the revenue of the oil industry. Are you still there? Hope you are listening. Hope I'm still online. Hello.
Yes, you are still on. You are still on.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. So just like we have the NNPC today, NNPC in Nigeria, where the is being managed by the government, and so the profits and revenue we are taking. Sorry. So we move to organizations. Looking at the oil industry structure, there are some organizations and some cartels that are that are put in place to oversee the activities of the industry, and what they do is to ensure growth and then try to maximize profit. They do anything they can just to get profits for the industry, so that we will not go broke. That's what we say, so I won't go broke. So these acts, they this what they do is, they try to influence the price. Sometimes they increase price, and then they reduce oil outputs. So reducing oil output to the to the community, it makes products very scarce and expensive, thereby harming the consumers. So the largest oil industry organization is OPEC that we have, which is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. And what they do mainly is to control all outputs and also influence price so that they will maximize profits. Sometimes, as I said earlier, they reduce the output, thereby causing fuel scarcity. And then when there's fuel scarcity, oil price will be increased, and it will only benefit they and their members and not the public. So there are also some other organizations, not just the OPEC. Yeah, in my slides, I can see that no OPEC, there are many members, there are a lot of members, all the exporting countries like Nigeria, Angola, Libya, even United Arab Emirates, and so on. We have like almost 13, 14 exporting countries are members of the OPEC community. So the other organizations are also overseeing oil productions. We have the International Energy Agency. We have the Organization for Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries. We also have international oil and gas organizations and national oil and gas associations, and also gas exporting countries forum. These gas exporting country forums are just like OPEC. What they do is similar to what OPEC do, just that they are into gas, not oil per se. So moving further to SP in industry. SP is also an organization, like I think that's what brought us together here. So it's a non-profit professional association whose members are also engaged in oil and gas E&P. Here, if you hear E&P, when I see E&P, it means exploration and production. So SP members, we are also involved in oil and gas exploration and production. So SP, is a key resource for technical knowledge. They provide opportunities, to exchange information at training courses, publications, and other resources. And so what we do is, they also provide insight. They share knowledge just like we are doing now, and then we connect with other disciplines and local chapters to ensure the growth of the members and also the future of the industry, to make sure the future of the industry is in safe hands. So now, going to our main focus for today, the upstream sector. As we know in the oil industry, as we know, or maybe we don't know before, but we are knowing now, and that's why we are here to know, and to discuss. So the industry is divided into three main segments. We have the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream. Although today we'll be focusing mainly on the upstream. Let me just brush through the midstream and the downstream. The midstream process is it just deals with the transportation process and trading and also the storage of the products gotten from the upstream sector. While the downstream is just about distribution, the manufacturing, the refining, and the processing of all these products, and then so that they can also distribute them to the sellers, to the wholesale sellers, and to the markets in general. So now looking at the upstream sector, the upstream sector is also categorized into two main parts, which is the exploration and production. What they do is they explore and they produce before being sent to the midstream. So let's go on. Now looking at exploration. Exploration actually encompasses the process and method involving local potential sites for drilling and extraction. As I said earlier today, I made mention of something like seepages when oil oozes out from the earth crust, from the earth's surface, and then you see the oil. That's how they get oil those days. But thank God now, due to the demand, high increase in demand for oil, we can't just rely on oil seeps. You can't just rely on seepages, on oils, on surfaces of the earth. We have to, get some technology and some machines so that we improve in exploration and get more oil. So there are some techniques. There's a machine. Yeah, this machine you are seeing here is called a seismic vibrator, and it's a trunk. It's mounted on a truck, and what it does is it injects frequencies. It injects vibration into the earth crust, and then these vibrations are being translated into seismic data so that we see what's actually underground, to see what's underground, the subsurface, so that we can explore petroleum there. So this machine is called a seismic vibrator, and the process by which it's being used is called vibrosis. If you are very conversant, if you are very conversant with the weekly bulletin SPE does, you notice this came out on World Wednesday. Yeah, just try and always keep up with that. So let me continue. Now, the upstream process, it's actually the upstream process actually entails two other processes. We have the onshore and the offshore. Talking in a layman language, the onshore can just be it involves drilling on land, as you can see in this image here. It involves drilling on land where geological surveys are being carried out and tested. Just like the vibrosis method I showed earlier, where there is a truck to thump the truck. Let me go back to the slide. So the truck, this part we are seeing here is going to be is going to be hitting the ground. It's called thumping. It's called thumping. So hard so that they can get vibrations, and then the vibrations will be transmitted into seismic data so that you can actually know what's beneath, if you can actually explore that site or not. So onshore process is just it involves drilling a rig after probably thumping, after probably using the vibrator. You insert a rig deep into the earth and then to reach fossil fuels. That's on earth. That's for offshore exploration. And the other one is called offshore. That's just like saying onshore is on land, while offshore is on water. So it's a mechanical process of drilling holes on ocean beds, also in lakes and inland seas. Also, yes, seismic imaging are used to test for oil. So now let's go on. So exploration is a process, as you can see so far. Exploration, trying to explore, you need to get some sophisticated equipment, some machines, so that you can actually explore well. So it's very risky and very expensive, and it requires a lot of funds. It requires a lot of money, and for an exploration process, it just must be successful, because for a failed exploration, you'll be losing at least $5 million, and you know what that means. OT, let me not speak. So, but for a successful exploration, when it's explored and it was successful, then the cost for exploring will be recovered, and then you get more profit even at the end of the day after finishing your process and all. So now, still talking about the upstream, we have talked about exploration, and now we go into oil production. So oil and gas production is also capital intensive. It requires a lot of capital, to fund it, and also highly skilled laborers and sophisticated equipment. So production is done after exploring. After exploring, you produce. And how is it being done? How is it done? What these oil companies do is they give the job to specialized drilling firms for extraction. They don't do the most times don't do the extraction themselves. So what they do is they just employ specialized drilling firms to extract for them, and at the end of the day, they pay for their services. So now there are some factors that will actually affect this drilling process, and as a matter of fact, we affect the cost of drilling. Whether it's going to be less I'm sure most of us in our homes, there's borehole and all that, and we know the deeper they drill, the more you pay. And then also there's other factors like the rock hardness, the weather conditions, and even distance of the site, your location, to know where the operation is going to be carried out. Those affect drilling processes. So quickly, I hope I'm not too fast. Quickly, we move to the industry controversies. We have some problems that are faced by the industry. The industry actually face some problems, some challenges, and also still they also cause problems too. And the problems they cause, I have them in my slides here. Number one, we have oil spills and leakages. Knowing oil spills, I'm sure from our secondary school, I've been hearing all these oil spills, oil leakages. It will affect the water life and fishes, marine life. It will be affected. Also, drilling pipelines near national parks. This is going to affect the vegetative lands, and also wildlife will be driven away very far. And also, it has impact on climate change. Also overuse and over reliance on fossil fuels can when when we are no we are dependent on fossil fuels. Anytime it gets scarce like this, it will just affect our normal day-to-day life. Also, problems faced by the industry that are very common too, that we have been hearing about. We have pipeline vandalism. This is just like destroying pipe, busting pipes just to steal this oil. Also, volatility of oil prices and on large scale oil theft, that's stealing, and also lack of government funding. And also we have obsolete laws and regulation. These laws are environmental laws that are put in place that might actually restrict drilling process and exploration process. Now moving to suggestions. These are just some suggestions to to solve the controversies in the industry. We have the where we have government. This country, for example, is an oil exporting country, and we have a government. You have government overseeing the activities. So this same government should work side by side with non-governmental organizations, and even oil companies shouldn't be left behind. They should actually respond to the controversies and set up campaigns to create awareness for people. And also they should set up some law enforcement agencies that will actually secure all these pipelines to avoid vandalism and all other things that might happen, controversies. So next, we'll be looking at safety in the industry. Safety in the industry, though we have been as engineers, as scientists, as workers, as a human being, we need to take something very cognizant anywhere we are, anywhere we work, even at home, in the industry, anywhere, which is what safety. The safety rules to ensure all these things that we're talking about, we just is more like a waste if we don't talk about safety, because getting to finally work in an industry, maybe not oil industry, in any industry, and you're not taking safety as number one importance. What if something happens and next day that will be the only day you actually have the chance to work in the industry? Then all your years of training will just be a waste. So for continuous working, for relevance in the industry, you need to take cognizance of safety. And so all these safety rules and guidelines should be obeyed and observed every time. As you can see, this young man here standing is fully equipped with his PPE. What's a PPE? PPE is personal protective equipment, which includes safety helmet here. We have the earmuffs, we have overalls or reflective jacket. As you can see it on this guy here, he's putting on a reflective jacket. Also, we have safety goggles and we have the boots. Also, we have the respiratory mask, and we have the eye goggle too. So all this should be as an engineer or as a personnel, as a person working in an industry, you should be equipped with this. Even for exploration, for production, for anything, even if you are just a transport worker, like you are not actually exploring or producing, you're just transporting, you need to be equipped with all these PPE. Also, I'll be reading towards some safety rules and regulations that are very common to any industry that you might actually find yourself in. When get into an industry, you need to obey and follow all instructions. Like anything you are not trained on, any equipment, any tool you find yourself using and you are not trained on it, just do not use it, and always use the right tools in the right way. Also, do not take shortcuts in any ways, in anything you are doing in an industry. Do not take shortcuts. Do not try to boycott or anything. Just follow the rules strictly, and also avoid horseplay at work, and your complete PPE, your complete personal protective equipment should be on you every time. So with all this industry, now I would like to ask this question, but let me just answer it. For exploration process offshore, that's on water, part of the PPE that you might actually need to put on might be a life jacket, because you are working on water, you are working on the sea, you are working on the ocean. So you might just have to put on, that's just an int, a life jacket in addition to the PPE that you actually need. So in the industry, in the oil industry, you just have to think safe, you work safe, and be safe always. So with this, I think I'm done. Thank you very much for listening. It's a wonderful time being here. Hello.
Thank you, Daniel, for such an enlightening session. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. You can go
All
on.
right.
You see.
Thank you very much for such an enlightening session. And I'm sure our viewers gained a lot from today's SPA talk. And I really, really enjoyed it too. I really enjoyed it to myself. Start when you started from the brief history of the oil and gas industry, of how to, and how it all started right from the 1880s, 86 and all, and how well you delivered the topic. I really, really enjoyed it. I personally liked how you gave the role SP plays in the oil and gas sector, and then you went to the use of vibroses for exploration and stuff. I really enjoyed that. Then just a brief on what our speaker talked about today. He talked about the history of oil and gas industry. He talked about the roles of that SP plays in the oil and gas industry. He also mentioned some organizations that play a part in the oil and gas industry. Then he went to the controversies and problems that the oil and gas industry is facing and has faced, and he gave some solutions, or he gave a requirement or some solutions that could better solve those problems and controversies. And finally, he also talked about safety in the industry and gave us some safety rules and safety tips which we should employ whenever we are in the industry. And he particularly mentioned the use of life jackets when we work in the offshore, when we work on water and stuff. So I don't know if any one of us will have like to ask Daniel a question. If there's any question, you can just put it in the live chat, and I'll be sure to mention it. Okay, but here there is a question from one of our viewers. He said that where do non-petroleum engineers fit into the upstream sector? Because I don't know, most times we have this vision, this illusion, or this mindset that okay, if you are a non-petroleum engineering student, if you didn't study petroleum engineering, you can't work in the petroleum industry, especially the offshore part of the upstream part of the oil and gas industry. So Daniel, would you like to speak on that? Like, okay, where do non-petroleum engineers fit in the upstream sector?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. When we talk about non-petroleum engineers, I think we are talking about chemical engineers, mechanical, electrical, even geologists too, like all other engineering. Yeah. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
the fact that hello,
Yeah,
the
we
fact
can
that
hear you.
yeah, okay, the chemical engineers can't actually work in the upstream. It's I used to believe it to sometimes, because I just felt like they can only be useful in the downstream or the midstream sector, for pipelines and pumps and the tankers that they use in refining and all. But they can also work in the upstream, by managing projects related to tanks. Eh? Drilling pipes and these separators. They can also manage, they can work as project managers, managing those parts as a chemical engineer. And as a mechanical engineer, they can be responsible for designing and managing the tools. They design tools, they manage and they maintain the tools, maintain the tools and machineries that the technicians will use. You know, the daily because exploration and production is not done in a day. So the day-to-day activities, they have to keep maintaining the facility, the machines and the trucks, every tools they are going to be used. And also the electrical engineers, they can work in instrumentation, electrical instrumentations, and in the control department. For So we have the non-petroleum engineers, they are actually very needed. They're also very, very needed in the production of oil and exploration.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. I totally agree with what you said. Like it's not only the non-petroleum engineers that have a role to play in the oil and gas sector. Like the drilling
Yeah,
machines that we use in the offshore, it is the mechanical engineers that maintain it and and so on
maintenance
and so
and
forth. Yeah, exactly. So there's another question quickly. I don't know. Yeah. Owen said yes, there's a role for everyone. Exactly. There's a role for everyone in the oil and gas industry, whether you're a petroleum engineer or non-petroleum engineer, you have a role to play in the oil and
even
gas
as
industry.
a geologist.
Yes, even a geologist is like one of the most important people for exploration to get to know, okay, there's oil in this place. You definitely need the geologist and the geophysics. So yeah, thank you very much, Daniel.
Yeah, you're
Then
welcome, sir.
finally, I don't know if unless there's another question. I have one more question here. Say what techniques can be used during oil well drilling?
Okay, why drilling? That's the part and production.
Yeah.
And there are different tools or techniques that can be actually used to drill. We have the rotary drilling. No one know what a drill is. I'm sure you have seen all these drilling trucks passing that drill boreholes. So we have rotary drilling, we have electro drilling, we have directional drilling. Also, we have cable drilling. And all these have different place where they can use them. For example, the rotary drilling is to drill in a place where it's very deep. We have to go very in depth, for exploration and production. Why the electro driven also you also go deep too, but they now make use of electric motors for drilling, not just the manual one. Why directional drilling is when you are drilling in a place, the when the depth is not just straight down, then we have to bend parts, and then you maneuver your way down the drill. And also cable drilling is for solid, for very hard ground, for very hard earth. So it's just like rotary drilling. Most of them are actually based actually like sub under rotary drilling, all for exploration and production. I hope that explains a little of.
Yes, Daniel, that does explain it. Thank you very much, Daniel, for
Yeah,
yeah. And just to add a little bit to this, the drilling techniques now, like, is now getting a little bit digitalized, with the coming of AI and technology into the oil and gas industry. We had a talk some time ago on digitalization in drilling and stuff. So drilling operations are getting more evolved and they are evolving and they are getting better and better. So yeah, thank you very much, Daniel.
yes, thank you.
All right. So thank you very much, Daniel. We hope to have you sometime again soon to talk to us more on probably another topic or something,
I'll be
interesting.
delighted.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Glad to have you. Um, that brings us to the end of today's SP talks. I hope we all enjoyed ourselves. We learned one or two things on about the upstream industry, about the upstream sector of the oil and gas industry, and most importantly, we know okay what to do and what not to do. I would like us to go back and listen to this edition again, just to make sure that we understand and we get all the points that the presenter gave to us today. And on the safety part, we should always be safety conscious. Even when we are not in the industry, even outside, we should be safety conscious. You know, as the saying goes, safety first, safety always. And thank you very much, everyone. We hope to see you next week, Saturday, for another edition of SP Talks. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye. Hi, this is my face. Okay, so bye.